slip on a banana peel and land between your legs. We shoot it straight in here, baby. And you know what? As women, sometimes we just have to be honest enough to say, you know what? That hurt me.
She didn't even tell me she was pregnant, Your Honor. She had one of her friends she grew up with inboxed me and her on Facebook and said, I'm not trying to start no drama. I thought I'd let you know that she had sex with 4 other guys.
If you loved her, you would have been there for her. You can't say that you love her and never be there for her. So shut up. I gave you her phone number. You would always say, I lost her number. You lost her number because you didn't want her number.
Mr. Nelson here is sleeping with both his wife and the mother of 5 of his kids without telling either woman about it. And despite that, he's in court today to tell his baby mama, Ms. Thomas, that he doesn't believe he's the father of her 5th child, despite the fact that he still continues to sleep with her. And here is what Ms. Thomas had to say about that.
The only thing that I can think of is because he recently got married.
Is that true, Mr. Nelson?
No, it's not, Your Honor. It was good in the beginning when we first started having children. And then after that, it's like me and her started like both doing our own little thing. And we was already about to split, but she ended up getting pregnant. But at that time, she was already messing around with other guys. So I didn't know what to believe.
It was rocky, but I was not sleeping with different men.
Wait, what does she mean by especially during her conception date? Does it mean she might have been sleeping with other men outside her conception date? Well, before we can get into that, Ms. Thomas has a bombshell for us.
He cheated on me throughout almost our whole entire relationship.
So, Ms. Thomas, why put up with that?
We went through hard times. Like, why wouldn't you want to make something like that work with somebody you had all these years with, all these kids with, and you just want to...
That's why I don't even know the chat. Like,
she has a point. If you have got 5 kids with someone, you generally want to make things work with them. But Mr. Nelson has very strong evidence of cheating behavior from Ms. Thomas. This ain't no joke.
It was easy. I asked her, Your Honor, I said, are you gonna leave this guy alone? She said no. She was like, let me think about it. I even threatened with her. I was like, if you don't leave him alone, I said, I'm gonna go back to North Carolina. She was like, that's on you. So then I left her, went to North Carolina, so I was like, I'm gonna give you another chance. And she was like, all right. I said, so you're gonna delete everything out your phone and everything, change your number and everything.
So wait a minute, you had 4 children together and then you find out Ms. Thomas is with another guy?
Wow, that's cold. Really cold. And Ms. Thomas doesn't deny this cheating either. At this point, it's open information. They both actually agreed that it happened.
What is this? Why then do you start having other men popping up on your phone?
It wasn't men, it was that one man, not men.
And why? Why did you get in a relationship with this one man? As retaliation for his cheating?
Basically. So he seen how I felt all them years he cheated on me. He felt it. And
So how long had you all been together when you discovered she was cheating?
So Mr. Nelson cheated, and Ms. Thomas cheated, and we have a young boy who doesn't really know who his father is. Great work, everyone. Great work. Now, Ms. Thomas says she knows the child is his because she slept with Mr. Nelson while she was ovulating.
Yes, Your
We
Honor.
see that you are ovulating Friday the 6th to the 11th.
Yes, Your Honor.
And then on the 10th and 11th, you got sex.
Because those are the 2 days that we had sex while I was ovulating, Your Honor.
Those were the 2 days you had sex with
Mr. Nelson.
Mr. Nelson.
Yes, Your Honor.
When you were ovulating.
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you remember those dates, Mr. Nelson?
No, I do not, Your Honor.
Ms. Thomas doesn't look good here at all. Mr. Nelson has done a fantastic job of treating her as a cheating woman who has no morals. But she has a comeback, and that comeback is to blame the other woman.
He was going around telling everybody that I was pregnant. Up until the time he met Miss Campbell, that's when he started denying my son. Mind you, he was cheating on me with her. I didn't know about her until I found out she was calling him through Facebook. And he was trying to lie then because we were still messing around even when he was with her.
Wait, what? Okay, guys, if you're still sleeping with the defendant, don't bring them to paternity court because they will let the cat out of the bag like Ms. Thomas has done here.
No, me and her, I'm not gonna lie to you, and I'm gonna tell my wife right in front of her, I apologize. But she already knew my wife already knew about it. She had caught me. It was a video and everything, she caught me. I thought I deleted the video out the phone. She went back in the phone.
He's apologizing now because he got caught.
All right, since we've brought her into it, I want to hear from her. Please stand, ma'am.
Insane! What was Mr. Nelson thinking? That the truth wouldn't come out? That Ms. Thomas wouldn't let the world know that he was still sleeping with her? Anyway, here is Ms. Campbell's testimony about the whole thing, and it's explosive.
Responsible from going from wifey to side chick.
I'm not nobody's side chick because
weird.
your husband is the one that tells me he wants to leave.
But that makes you a side chick.
No,
that
it
makes you a
doesn't.
side chick. We're
No, it
legally
does not.
married.
Wait a minute.
No, it does not. No, it does not.
Listen.
He told me he married you out of spite.
Both of you all confused. He's sleeping with both of y'all. Neither one of you are on a step higher than the other.
Mr. Nelson really wants to eat his cake and have it while denying that he's had any cake at all. There's absolutely no way that is ever going to work, Mr. Nelson. No way. Despite denying Ms. Thomas's baby, he still texts her and she tells the court why.
I want him to leave me alone. Honest. If he's gonna make his marriage work, let your marriage work. I'll try to move forward with my life. He texts me. He calls me and tells me how much he misses me and wants to be with me. It's not the other way around. And I have messages.
Your Honor, all right.
And if he wants to be with me—
Did you bring the messages to court with you?
Yes, Your Honor.
And yes, the messages are bad. Really bad. They are so bad that immediately Ms. Campbell sees it, she starts sobbing because it might mean her relationship is over. Take a look.
These messages are dated from 3 weeks ago. So what is your plan for real? You the plan. So are you really gonna leave her this time? You ask. You respond, Mr. Nelson, I want my family back. I hear you, but you said this last time, and I really need to know if you serious this time. This the kind of conversation a married man's having?
Well, now that everyone knows the truth, it's time to know an even more important truth. We've got to let the DNA test speak its truth. Who is the father of Ms. Thomas's 5th child?
Mr. Nelson, you are the father. It's number 5.
I met him and he already had, 4 kids with her. So what's one more?
I'll tell you what one more is. One more means this isn't over. This child deserves to know his father. His father's gonna have to come visit him. His father is still sleeping with his mother regularly.
Mr. Lee insists that he was a virgin before meeting the plaintiff and says that one instance of sexual intercourse can never lead to a child. His mother also says her boy cannot be the child's true father because he has a glorious future ahead of him. That may sound ridiculous, but Ms. Johnson truly believes it. Here is what Mr. Lee had to say.
She initially told me that she didn't even think I was the father.
I had sex with a different guy and we thought he was the father, but it turns out he's not. I've written Chevy several times on a DNA test and he doesn't seem to care. I know you're gonna be mad and I completely understand why, but I need to know who my son's father is.
Well, the only reason why I wrote him on Facebook is because I had no way to contact him. I moved all the way to Ohio.
Oh, that is why Ms. Johnson here is angry. Anyway, Mr. Lee insists he isn't the father because of contradictory statements that his baby mama, Ms. Longshore, made to him. Here are those statements.
And at first she was telling me like, oh, I'm pregnant, but I don't think you're the father. I had sex with other guys, it shouldn't even be you. And then afterwards, after the baby was born, she was like, oh, don't worry, it don't look like you, you're not the father. So I wasn't even worried.
I never said that. I told you plenty of times Kaden looks just like you. Why are you lying in court?
No, you
Please
never
stop.
said that.
Please
in
stop.
the picture, you even tried to make him look like me afterwards, after you said, oh, we tested the other guy.
Ms. Johnson is really pissed off about all of this because she knows that if the baby turns out to be her son's, she will have to foot the bill. That is because Mr. Lee here does not have a job and seems to still be a teenager. That's exactly why she had to say this.
Not him. He's got a future. And I told him before, if this is your baby, whatever I gotta do, I'll do it. Because I want him to finish college. I want him to go. I want him to achieve his dreams. I never got to achieve mine, okay? And I want that for him.
Well, I can certainly feel your pain, Ms. Johnson. That is why it is important to get to the bottom of this. But before we can even do that, the court erupts in chaos because Ms. Longshore insists that Mr. Johnson knew the child was his, but just failed to tell his mother about it.
We never even saw her pregnant. We never saw pictures of her pregnant. It was like just a baby out of nowhere.
What? Pregnant. You were tagged in my sonogram before you deleted me. What are you talking about?
You never added me.
Beyonce was.
You never added me.
Yes, I did.
I never saw a sonogram. I've never seen you on Facebook.
I want to understand. You tag his name in the sonogram.
Ms. Longshore is basically saying she informed the father of her baby that he was indeed the father of her baby through the age-long tradition of tagging him on a sonogram post she made on Facebook. Yes, exactly right, a sonogram post. Mr. Lee insists that his football career is at stake here, and Judge Lake asks the question we all want to ask.
What happened that day? You couldn't find any football to think about?
Like, what are you making it seem like this is just
Look,
me or something?
there wasn't no game on.
How is it just my fault? You had sex with me too. I didn't have sex with myself.
I can't say no forever. If you're gonna come over every day and just throw it at me
I didn't
like,
come
oh,
to
you
your
want
house
some?
every day, so stop lying. Stop trying to make me seem like I'm a hoe because you got it all twisted.
Well, Ms. Johnson believes that this entire game was orchestrated by Ms. Longshore and that she is just looking for a baby daddy to father her child. And that is why Judge Lauren had to ask Mr. Lee this question.
Do you believe she manipulated this?
Yeah, because he was a
That's
virgin.
what you
I
believe?
manipulated it.
She was on the prowl.
You
like
think
she was
she
after me.
seduced you,
Because he didn't go
set
there.
you up? up?
Yep.
Like,
set you
I
up.
never met any of her family. I never went to her house. I didn't even know where she stayed
You
at
haven't met any of
until
my
she came
family?
over.
You haven't met none of my family. You didn't meet my brother who went to the same
Miss
school as us?
Longshore, let me ask you this,
Come
Miss
on, now get
Longshore.
it together.
So you two weren't even dating. You were saying you were just friends.
Yes.
Wow. You cannot say that Ms. Longshore isn't passionate about this case. Incredibly, Ms. Johnson says that she used to know Ms. Longshore because they were homeless at about the same time, so she is disappointed that Ms. Longshore got pregnant for her son when she knows that she did not have a great living situation. Of course, that leads to a scary shouting match between both women.
This is how I feel. If you get pregnant, that's your
did.
responsibility.
And I am.
Mama's baby, Papa's maybe, sweetie.
And I
because
am.
if he had the baby,
I can play mommy and daddy all day.
I would know that that's my grandchild. I'm sorry. So you got to stand up and do something or fall for everything.
And I am.
Period. And I was your age and I had to stand up. So I
Then
know
you should know
can do
exactly
it.
where I'm coming from.
I do.
All right, then.
But you got to be stronger.
And I'm trying.
Is it just me, or is that just a terrible way to speak to the potential mother of your grandkids? Anyway, Judge Lauren has some words for Mr. Lee because he is hiding behind his mother and thinks this entire thing is a joke.
She's a strong woman, but she can't hide you from me.
Oh, I'm not trying to hide,
Because
Your
I
Honor.
see what's going on.
Your Honor, I'm not trying
What
to
I
hide.
don't want you to do with your handsome football playing, bright futured self is to think you are without responsibility and that this is a joke.
So here is the rundown. Mr. Lee does not think he is the father because he says he was a virgin before he met Ms. Longshore, and his mother agrees because she thinks Ms. Longshore is just trying to trap her son. Let us see what the DNA results have to say about that.
Mr. Lee, it is without question you are Caden's.
I told you. Told you. I ain't got nothing left to say. Told you. Nothing left to say. Nothing left to say. Kiss my...
Can I see my grandchild, please?
Mr. Jones has now paid over $50,000 in child support for a child he believes isn't his, and he's in paternity court today to prove once and for all that he isn't Lakeitha Jones's father. And here's how it looks from Ms. Lakeitha's perspective.
What was it like growing up around Mr. Jones and his family?
Your Honor, I felt unwanted and lonely, and
Take me there. What was it like for you as a little girl?
he was in and out my life. Barely saw him.
But you knew him to be your father.
Yes,
But you barely saw him?
yes,
Was in and out your life?
yes, Your Honor.
Do you remember quality time you spent with him?
No, Your Honor.
Wow. She really had a tough childhood, and her absent father was a big reason for that childhood. But Mr. Jones has an excuse for giving Lakeitha that sort of childhood. Let's see if it's a good one.
Miss Jones is saying she grew up with you in and out of her life. Were you involved at all?
Yes, Your Honor, I was. Matter of fact, Your Honor, the problem was, Your Honor, that I never felt that Lakeitha was actually my child. And matter of fact, I addressed that with her mother on many different occasions. But we had to set up once before where when she was a little girl.
But the test never got done because Mr. Jones says Lakeitha's mother took her out of the hospital before the test could even be done. Here is what he says happened exactly.
Ms. Brittingham knew that when we got to the hospital, I was there to get this test done then.
And
I
what
was standing
happened?
I was standing up in the line to wait to be waited on. I got there, there was a gentleman ahead of me. Then when he moved, I stepped up and I turned around and looked. I looked up, Terry was walking out the door with the baby on. This is ridiculous, and she walked out the door.
And that's how Mr. Jones never found out whether Lakeitha was really his daughter or not. Anyway, Mr. Jones might not have the DNA test results, but he says he's very certain that the Lakeitha isn't his. And here's how he knows.
Your Honor, when I was with her, I was always protected, and I made sure that. And then when she says it must have burst my protection, which I knew it did not.
But we all know even birth control is not 100%.
That's why, because I want to know the truth, and I think Lakeitha needs to know the truth
I definitely
too.
want to know the truth. My mom told me you didn't use protection
Oh,
at all.
that's not true. I did.
Well, apparently Lakeitha's mother doesn't agree at all with that. Moving on, Mr. Jones makes it clear that despite not thinking he's the father, he was still put on the birth certificate, and he made sure he paid more than $50,000 in child support.
You're saying you've paid close to $50,000 in child support
Pretty close.
for a child that you 100% believe is not yours.
Absolutely. I'm sorry she has to go through this today because I still love her just like she is my child.
No.
And as
So
far as her,
wait.
and
I
as
don't
far as her
really
not,
feel like that.
and as far as
I don't
as
feel
far
like
as her
that at
not
all.
coming to my house, that was her choice. That wasn't my choice.
Wow. That's a lot of money to pay for a child that you believe isn't yours. If the child indeed turns out not to be for Mr. Jones, he would have wasted all that money. But Lakeitha still has a point to make about how unloved her father made her feel.
When I would see him out in gatherings, people would say that, who's this? And you'd say, this is my daughter. I was like, oh, I didn't know you had a daughter.
You told me that?
No, you said that to them.
No, that's not true.
No, what was said was, they would say they didn't know he had a daughter.
Yeah.
And you would say that this was your daughter, and they say, oh, I didn't know you had a daughter.
Why would I say that?
Why indeed, Mr. Jones? Why indeed? But Mr. Jones's horrible parenting doesn't stop there. He also didn't invite Lakeitha to several family reunions, and she had to ask her mom to take her there without his knowledge and consent. You can see how much that hurt Lakeitha here.
So does she know his family?
Yes.
Yes, I've been to 2 family reunions. I don't really remember the first one, but one of my youngest brothers told me about the family reunion. So my mom took me out there to meet my family.
So your father didn't tell you there was a family reunion?
No.
Did he know you were coming?
No.
So you just took your daughter out to the family reunion
Yes.
so she could meet her family?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Wow, Mr. Jones, you're really the father of the year. Mr. Jones might not remember, but Lakeitha certainly remembers what people at that party told her.
Why didn't you invite her?
I don't know if I didn't. I cannot remember. If I had or not, I don't remember.
Family members, when I got out there, was like, man, you look like him. You got to be his daughter.
Did you look like anybody else in the family?
Yes, I did have a resemblance to a lot of them.
Who?
I don't know the people's names. A lot of the cousins.
So wait, Mr. Jones, it's your contention that she doesn't look anything like anyone in your family?
No.
Okay, let's move on. When Mr. Jones was sleeping with Lakeitha's mom, he was married. And when the woman got pregnant, she decided to call up Mr. Jones's wife and tell her that she was pregnant by Mr. Jones. And Lakeitha's mom doesn't apologize at all for doing something like that.
Did you know he was married when you slept with him?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And so you felt like his wife should know you were having a baby?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And when you called her, what did she say?
She said, what? Because I told her who I was. She was like, what? I said, yes, my name is Terry and I'm having Jerome's baby. I am pregnant by Jerome.
Well, there's plenty of hurt to go around, Mr. Jones. Plenty of hurt. Before we get to unravel this mystery with the test results, things almost go sideways when Lakeitha's mother decides to start screaming at Mr. Jones.
Look, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something I needed to know. Your Honor, excuse me just a minute. But love to me is an action word. If you loved her, you would have been there for her. You can't say that you love her and never be there for her. So shut up. I gave you her phone number. If she changed it, I gave you her number. And you would always say, I lost her number. You lost her number because you didn't want her
lost,
number.
it was in my phone.
The funniest thing in the world could happen right now if it turns out that Mr. Jones isn't Lakeitha's father, because it would mean all this aggression Lakeitha's mom is showing is just really fake and untrue. And Mr. Jones is the real victim here. Let's see what the results actually say.
Mr. Jones, you are not Lakeisha's father.
And that's fine. So now you know. Come here, baby. So now you know. That's all right, because you'll always be my baby.
We say in this courtroom all the time, it takes DNA to be a father, but it takes love to be a daddy.
Mr. Robinson doubts that Ms. Mitchell's baby is his because he learned that she'd been sleeping with 4 other men, despite telling him that she was a virgin. And today, Ms. Mitchell still insists on being a virgin before meeting him, and here is how she puts it.
I was hanging out at these apartment complexes, and we hooked up and had sex. I lost my virginity, and I found out I was pregnant 3 weeks later.
Wow. So, Mr. Robinson, is that account true?
No, Your Honor. We hooked up one time. That was it.
One time?
Okay.
One time.
Well, that's about all you need is one
that's
time.
about-
Did you use protection?
No.
So how did Mr. Robinson even find out that she was sleeping with multiple men? Like, how did that even get into the equation?
She
And
didn't
what
even
was-
tell me she was pregnant, Your
my
Honor.
friend
She had
called-
one of her friends she grew up with inboxed me and her on Facebook and said, I'm not trying to start no drama. I thought I'd let you know that she had sex with 4 other guys. Okay?
Let me get this story straight. You start getting messages
Yes,
from
Your
the peanut gallery
Yes, Your Honor. From her best friend, Your Honor.
telling you
My best friend wouldn't say that.
Okay, that's a strong allegation. But Ms. Mitchell says this man, who took her virginity, is lying, and she has no idea who spoke to him. Ms. Mitchell now claims that Mr. Robinson didn't even show up at the birth of her child because his other baby mama wouldn't let him, and her mother testifies to that happening.
And Hope was raised better than to lay around sleeping with men. I have no clue where they come up with that. no clue whatsoever where they come up with 4 men. That is not true. And as far as him saying that he was in jail, I have proof right here that he didn't get arrested until 2 days after the baby was born.
So if he was in jail.
And yeah, Heather is his other baby mama. And yeah, she's in court too, and has a few things to say as well. It's kind of weird to see Heather in court defending her fiance against his other baby mama. But love can make you do weird things, right?
I've never done anything to this girl ever. I've never disrespected
She's
her. I
immature
never
and childish,
She's on
Your Honor.
Facebook
She's 18
updating
years
her
old and she's
status about
immature
me.
and childish. That's my point.
She updated her status about me all the time, claiming that I was on Facebook talking about her, and I wasn't.
Oh, who cares? Who cares?
Yeah,
Who
nobody
cares?
cares about that.
Exactly! Who cares? And Mr. Robinson is super weird for calling Ms. Mitchell 18 and immature. Didn't he know she was immature before sleeping with her? Anyway, let's move on to something else. Here is Ms. Heather speaking about her perspective of things.
I have been I've tried being civil with Hope. She had messaged me on Facebook when me and Ryan was split up, telling me that she was sorry for the way that she was acting.
Oh, yeah.
And I told her, regardless, we need to get along. She, agreed to that, but then when it all came down to it, it was she didn't want her around me. If me and Ryan was together, that he wasn't to be a part of Ryland's life.
And there they go, shouting the place down again with absolutely no thought about the life of the beautiful child at stake here. This scene makes it suddenly obvious why Mr. Robinson, Ms. Mitchell, and Ms. Heather ended up on paternity court. Mr. Robinson has this to say about what will happen if he turns out to be the father.
This baby is yours.
I hope and pray to God on everything that I love. I have not known my father for 20 years. And yes, I haven't, but I know who my father is now. I don't want Ryland to grow up like that. If she is mine, by all means, I want to give her everything and anything.
Have you ever met Ryland?
No, I haven't. Because
She won't let us.
she
She's
will not let me.
drama.
The
They
only way, the only way she told me that I could see Ryland is
Is
if
if
I
he
came
left
by
me.
my safe and if I left Heather.
Well, isn't that a bit excessive? Mr. Robinson isn't obviously going to leave the mother of his child because of Ms. Mitchell, and if they end up getting married, Ms. Heather will become the child's stepmother. So she has to be in her life. And before we get to the results, Mr. Robinson breaks out his trusty face app to show that the baby isn't his.
She doesn't even look like me or my
Okay.
son.
She
So
looks
Miss-
like I got
She
evidence.
doesn't even look like me or my son, who is a spitting image. My son, and when I tell you he's a spitting image of
just
me,
like Hope.
my son is a spitting image of me. And when I tell you
text
that,
message.
Hold
saying
on.
he
What
wants
is this
nothing to do
evidence
with
you
her.
have? Jerome, will you please hand me this evidence?
look at my son and look at her. They look nothing alike.
She looks
That
like
is
me.
my identical twin.
She may or may not look like Mr. Robinson, and it sort of doesn't matter since we will be looking at the DNA test results now and see if this baby truly belongs to Mr. Robinson.
Mr. Robinson, you are the father. $337.50, that's what you would be entitled to if it was determined that Mr. Robinson was in fact Ryland's biological father. It has been determined that you are, and so I am awarding Ms. Mitchell $337.50, which is half of the child care expenses